in the 1990s, you were at the forefront of the use of e-learning, simulations, and serious games to educate and train people. And why were those solutions chosen at that time?
I think you need to make a difference between e-learnings in general
Yes.
and simulations and serious games.
What is the difference?
Yeah, well, e-learning means just like give me content via self-learning content via the computer. Well, and the promise was you can teach at scale, at your own pace, and in a safe environment. And if you do it properly right, even like in a little bit personalized way. Nowadays, we talk about personalized more. At that time, that was ambitious. So everybody can learn what they want in that time, which is still true, but the execution of 90% of the e-learning offered was quite poor. So that's why that was a little bit the down at that time. You got a lot of page turners with quizzes at the end. You still get a lot of page turners with quizzes at the end nowadays, but it's like not accepted. So that's like the e-learning, and honestly, most companies started with compliance training for e-learning because at scale and the quality was not so important. For me, the story of serious games or business simulation or performance simulation or however you want to call them was a totally different one. It has more to do like with also like what you have in real life. You have the real life simulations, they had the purpose of behavior change also. And they were like fueled really by good practice in learning, because good practice in learning is like, give me context, not only content, but give me context, because make it relevant to me.
Yes.
And if it's relevant to me, it matters to me. Well, and then if the scenario is relevant, it's believable, I'm into it, it matters to me, then give me the chance to fail. Because nobody wants to fail in a relevant real life scenario. And if you fail, then you're ready to learn. Because then you want to know why, what has happened. I haven't, like my old professor Roger Schenk said, you had an expectation failure. I thought I'm right. I thought I know everything, and you just showed me, not told me, you showed me that I'm wrong. I failed.
Yes.
And that I don't want to do that. I want to learn. And that's actually why they have been developed, because if you then work on it, you internalize it, you really learn, and you change your behavior by it. So it was behavior change at scale, which was the purpose of the big performance simulation I was involved in. It was not so much you learn as a finance person US GAAP.
Yes.
But it was about like you are able to analyze situations and make sound decisions. That was the purpose.
And did it work out fine? Was it a success?
I think absolutely, for those who have done it, it was, in my opinion, tremendously successful. And a couple of examples for this. I think the two of us worked together at Siemens, and we are allowed to talk about it. And well, it's like end of the 90s. Anyhow, many people will have forgotten it. We've developed like a let's say a master program for finance and controlling folks. And there were a lot of content in it. It was also like in the context of introduction of US GAAP at Siemens. But the real aim was, again, as I said, like to make better controlling and finance people who change their behavior. And I went to Siemens 10 years later,
Oh, right. Yes.
And we had a different kind of program also around finance. And I've learned that this simulation was still in use, although I would say 50% of the content, not the context, the content was outdated.
Mm-hmm.
But how they learn, what they learn, how they behave, how they analyze data was still true. It was still relevant to them. So it maybe not anymore in Munich because they were like a little bit different, but in other parts of the world, they still use this simulation because they say like that's really good behavior learning and process learning, although the
Mm-hmm.
content was not valid anymore. That's
Okay.
one example for me that showed me, well, that really has worked.
And what did you learn from it?
What we've learned from it is that it's very, very complex to make it work.
Yes.
And in the early days, it was also technology was complex. Nowadays, I would say that technology is not a challenge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, really hard to make such simulations from a content and from the learning perspective. And it takes a long time and it was expensive. So for one program, we had a development team of 10, 15 people who worked on it for 6 months.
Yes.
Another one even for 12 months. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but also, what do you really do, copy to simulate like the real world, the processes? You try to scaffold the stuff, which is easy, where they
Mm-hmm.
don't make failures. You analyze like really the business, you do a business process analysis. Where do your people fail in
Yeah.
real life?
Yeah.
Where do they make mistakes? Where do they make the costly mistakes? So really,
Yeah.
you do like not a training needs analysis, a traditional, you do a business analysis.
Right.
And out of this, you try to then bring it into the simulation.
Right.
Um, and therefore you need to really dig deep into the organization and to talk to their experts. And they need to either know what makes a good finance person, what makes a good salesperson, what makes a good controller. And usually, if you ask them, they don't know it. They,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
only know it in terms of results. Oh, he's faster, he sells more. But what competencies, what behaviors, measurable and replicable ones, that's very hard for them to pinpoint.
Yeah.
Therefore, you need to make a good analysis to really talk to like their best people and analyze why are they better. So something this is more like an org development model.
Yeah.
And by the way, yeah, then you make a simulation and then you give the people like the simulation and let them work in it, let them fail in it, and then they're ready to learn and then they're ready to behave uh, similar to the best people. So you try to move the competency curve of everybody a little bit more towards that's how our best people work.
While working on those simulations, have you encountered also the limitations and the weaknesses of the simulations?
I have to say, um, no, you pick a learning, you pick like a performance goal from there, you pick learning goals. They're very specific. And I wouldn't call it a limitation, but you need hours to accomplish it.
Yes.
And that's not popular, but it's like it's true.
But
And
I think in a general way that it goes for uh, learning and training,
in
whatever.
general, yeah, in general, yeah. But it's a harder sell because nowadays everybody wants to have like learning nuggets of 2 to 5 minutes, and they should, and you can cover it, you can cover everything with it,
Yeah.
but it's just not working. So there's a lot of naivety around like how learning works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's not a lot of competency around how learning works, but everybody thinks he knows it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think the real importance is you need to really, really understand what's the problem.
Yes.
Why, what do you want to address? Why do people make mistakes? What mistakes do they make?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What what are the bad, the costly mistakes? Who are the people who don't do the mistakes, and why don't do they the mistakes? That's why the learning circles are a good way to capture all this. But I think that's what I meant earlier. Like, you need to really deeply understand what's the problem, and then you bring people in a situation to make these wrong, or not. I would say wrong is a bad word, but let's say who makes the wrong decisions, the wrong actions, and let them suffer. Let them experience the consequences of their behavior. And then they say, oh, then they're ready to learn. I think that's all. I think that's why by your learning circle, I think it's very good to capture all of this.
That's right. But what I found very interesting, and I just forgot, but that you start with the performance goals and then the learning goals.
Performance goals mean, yeah, you need to achieve something. And learning goals are like, what do you need to know for this?
Right. And it's about behavior.
It's about behavior. Basically, behavior performance goals, like, because honestly, companies are not interested that you know more.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not interested that you can do more.
Yeah.
They're interested that you do it.
Yeah, of course.
And the whole transfer part in the simulation, the whole transfer part is gone, because you are already displayed in a simulation in what you need to do.
Yeah, that's right.
In a standard e-learning, where you have some nice interactions, which is not boring, nicely designed, and it's good, you don't display the behavior, you don't practice it, you don't experience. That's why you need a transfer phase later on.
Yes.
In a good simulation, you don't need a transfer phase. You already applied because
it's already in it.
You've done it. That's the old example of a flight simulator. We always use the flight simulator as an example because it's so nice. You don't learn to fly a plane by reading a book or by doing 5 minutes knowledge nuggets. You'd learn to fly a plane by doing. It's learning by doing. And you don't want people learn in a real plane, the first step. So you let them learn in a simulator. You want the people to experience the real expensive failures in a safe environment, and then have a coach or 5 coaches around them tell them why they failed.
What do you see as interesting developments?
Now, I think for me, the interesting development, I think that I have the feeling that there's a chance that there will be more focus on simulations again. And the reason I say that is like the magical abbreviation AI. I think it could also be a big game changer for learning in a simulation way, because what did we say? What was one of the, or what are the hurdles, the obstacles for doing simulations? It takes a lot of time. It's to develop. You then have very scripted scenarios, and AI can help you.
Okay. Well, I think for the interview I have enough material.
Okay.
I have to make it a little more compact, but I think it's great. Thank you very much, Johannes. I'll send you the end result.
Yeah, please do so.
Yeah.